Hey, welcome to the Producer Place. My name is Nick Rollo. I'm a producer and mixing engineer from Australia. Today, I'm going to show you how to make your first drum beat in Studio One. This is a relatively new channel. I do have another channel where I've done a lot of this kind of content before, but I'm sort of separating the two. Initially, I'm going to be doing a bit of Studio One content to kind of build up just a foundation, and then I'm going to start doing non-Studio One content that applies to Studio One, but also applies to all of the doors. So stick around for that. Let's get into it. So if you pull up just a blank canvas of Studio One, what we're going to do is pull up Impact. Now Impact is a drum sampler essentially, so you've got all of these different pads. Think of those like old school MPCs where you can just like tap out drums on them. This is essentially that. You've got quite a lot of banks. I've never personally used more than A, maybe B. Pretty much each one of these is an individual sample, or allows you to have an individual sample on each pad. You can route them out so that each one hits a different track, or you can have them all hit one so they're all combined. I personally have done this so that mine route out like this. So when I pull up the mixer, I've got 8 channels. That just means that I can actually like control them individually, which works really well for me. Now I'm pretty sure these all come with just like the regular version of Studio One, but if you have Sphere or the highest paid version, I'm sure you'll have all of these. So these pretty much just like preoccupy the pads for you. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to find a kit. Let's go Cosmic Chill. Now, as you can see, what's happened here is these are all routed to one. I don't love that because as you can see down here, it all comes out in one. It gets a bit messy. So I'm just gonna, kick sounds good. Let's use clap as the snare. So I'm gonna put that on 2. Actually, no, let's just make this simple. Put that on 2, put the clap on 3. Let's put this hat on 4. This hat on 5. And it's easy when you set this as a default, which if you just set these to 1 through 8 and then you go up here and you go store as default preset, when you drag samples on, you don't have to do this again. I'm just doing this for the sake of this tutorial. What I'm going to do is hit Command-Shift-P, or what you can do is if you just double click and make a MIDI file, and then if you right click on this, you can go to Instrument Parts and then Insert Pattern, or you can use this key command. So yeah, drums you can do either in a MIDI part as I just had created, which is, it just looks like this, or you can do it in the pattern editor, and they're both good. I like the pattern editor because it's a step sequencer. So basically when you click play, this just repeats. So now I just need to do 16 different steps and then I can like have a beat essentially. Now you can increase these steps if you want to go to like 32, or you can increase individual steps by say 32 on the snare on this lane here. And so like there's a lot of different drum beats. Obviously, there's a lot of different ideas that you could do. Just for simplicity's sake, I'm gonna use the kick and I'm gonna put it on 1, 2, 3, 4. So 5, 9, 13. That's beat 2, beat 3, beat 4. And then I'm gonna click play. So, it doesn't sound amazing, but we'll add now a snare or clap on the 2 and 4. Let's go to the hat. And I like to have this little thing open at the bottom, show hide automation lanes and velocity. Because then if I turn the velocity down, you get that kind of played feel. And what you can do is make sure you're not selecting anything in the arranger. So just click off. Jump back to the pattern editor, click on the lane, and if you've got 2 here, you can press D and it duplicates. Now let's add some of these other hi-hats to the offbeats. So on the and, so 1 and 2 and 3 and. And let's say turn the snare to 32. And then over here, we're going to add a double snare. Sounds alright. Like, it's not the most inspiring thing I've ever made, but you get the idea of kind of how you might use this. Now down here, you've got variation. So you can click duplicate And this is exactly the same, but now I can add extras. And then if I wanted to go back to the other one, I can go to variation 1. This is really helpful if you have like a verse and a chorus. Or you can just create a new one entirely. Let's go to this one here, and I'm just going to remove those extras I added in. Let's try a different drum beat. And to remove, all you need to do is just click. And if you click on one and then you drag, you can remove all of them. I'm going to duplicate it. Add a few here. I like to mess with the velocity because it just makes things a little bit more human. And there you go, that's how you make a drum beat in Studio One. Now, just as like a kind of extra, because we routed these out, now when I click play, you can sort of level it as you want. The last thing that you might want to do, you might not, is if you click on this pattern file and you click G, which is consolidate, you've now got this all in just like a basic MIDI file essentially. I don't know why it's doing that. So now if you look here, you can see it all kind of just laid out in a non-pattern form, and that can be in either drum form or just, you know, regular MIDI keys. This can be good if you want to humanize stuff. So if you highlight everything, right click, and then musical functions and find humanize under quantize. Here you can play around with note velocity and timing. So you might want to, you know, slightly mess around with the timing so that it feels a little bit less like programmed. And as you can see, like the velocity changed a bit. The timing should have just got a little bit earlier. And without it, it's subtle, but it does make a little difference, and it kind of adds up over the course of a track when you have a little bit more variation. So it's something to keep in mind. Thank you so much for watching. Before you leave, I have a few freebies for you. There is a free vocal mixing cheat sheet that just runs you through my mixing kind of approach to vocals. There's also some free Studio One presets that I've made that just sort of make mixing and kind of creating a little bit easier and more fun. And there is currently a free Producing in Studio One course linked below, so you can go check those out. And if you enjoyed the video, hit like, hit subscribe, and I'll catch you next one. Bye.